Merry meet and welcome, Starshines. This is your celestial host, Serona Rose, and welcome to the AstroTarot Update video. As you know, you can join me every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Cauldron.net for the full report. You can also now find that report if you missed it. You can go to the website, go over to the right column to the past shows, to the archives, and you can purchase the show for $1.99. It's wonderful and it helps support this awesome network. So, I wanted to talk a little bit and do a little bit of a video today as there's several things going on and I want to talk about them. Tonight, I'm over on the East Coast. I'm in the state of Georgia. I'm over here in the Low Country. We will be able to hopefully see the asteroid with its moon pass by our Earth, and it'll be around, I believe it said 7:05, and that's Eastern Standard Time. So you don't want to miss that. I'll be out there looking at myself, and hopefully I can get some pictures. I don't know. I don't have that great camera, so I'll be getting the best pictures I can. If you do get some wonderful pictures of this event, please send them to my Facebook page, and that's Astro Tarot with Serona Rose. You're more than welcome to post the pictures there. Of course, please, use your name for credit. Also, if you're not on Facebook, you can find me on Instagram, and that is Serona Rose _AstroTarot. All right. Now, some people were having some heavy feelings around Thursday into Friday night, and then I've been hearing reports that a lot of people are feeling a little bit of unease. Okay, and I can explain that a little bit astrologically. What has happened, I don't know, you might have seen a headline stating that the moon is going to swallow Saturn in the early mornings, Friday morning. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit. These edgy feelings that we've been having, these intense feelings, are happening because the moon was traveling through the astrological sign of Capricorn, and it was occulting Saturn, Pluto, and the South Node. And actually, in the order, it would have been the South Node first, then followed by Saturn, and then Pluto. Now, what does the word occulting mean? Occulting is simply when a planet is hidden by another planet. Just, right? Also known as a conjunction. Also, when you have a new moon, that is when the moon gets directly in front of the sun. You can't see it. Yada yada. Okay. Now that we have that clear. The moon passed by each of those, and he spent about, well, the moon spent about 2 hours in each degree. So she visited the South Node in Capricorn, and the South Node is our past, right? It is where we are coming from. And Capricorn represents our government, those authoritative type powers. South Node is our past. This could have brought a lot of, and the moon is our emotions, it's our nurturing, it's our mother. So when the moon met with the South Node, we could have been triggered from something in our past, maybe something that happened in the past come up and we're having to deal with it. And it could be tied to our emotions. It could be something physical, but it's something that we are emotionally connected to. When it passed by Saturn, Saturn is our father. He's Father Time. And he reminds us that things happen of time, that there's a certain time things need to happen. There's a process that we have to go through. So when we have the moon with Saturn that way, we are reminded understand the unfoldment of things and not to be so attached to an outcome. A lot of times that's what gives us a lot of grief, is that when we want something and we're trying to manifest and create something, we try to do it in a way that we think that it should be done. And then we can be created to the way that we think things should be done. We think how they should be, that we get, tunnel vision, and we don't see what else is going on. So, and then then the moon visited Pluto. Many people have different views on Pluto. I personally love Pluto. Pluto is the lord of the underworld. Pluto will take you down and let you face every one of your fears in order to release them. It's almost like an onion. And he works to make you better. He works to clear out the debris so you and all of your authenticity can shine forth. So that does explain some of the energy that we were having at the end of the week. If you missed the show, you can go back and listen to that show I had this past Thursday. It is in the archives, and you'll want to listen to that to get more in depth with that. Now, I want to talk about what energy we're coming into, what energy is unfolding. Like I stated, we just had a full moon on the 18th, and that was in Scorpio. Now, full moons are known, a full moon in Scorpio is like life and death. And many people are going through a transition since that full moon. That full moon really did make its presence known. And that's what full moons do. Full moons shine. They shine the light on those things that we need to see. They shine the light on the shadows. Full moons, this past full moon in Scorpio could have really triggered our emotions. It could trigger our insecurity. But it's also, this placement is also known as the Buddha full moon. Okay? And the Buddha full moon is that of enlightenment. And that's what a full moon does. It enlightens, it illuminates, right? So this full moon that we had was shining its bright light into those shadows, and it was making us face some very emotional truths in our life. And these are some things that just we can't hide anymore, things that can't stay hidden. Scorpio is fixed sign, so it locks down on one thing. It has to deal with one thing at a time. And it's usually, so it's very, very Pacific. Those of you that are empathic could really be affected by this moon that we had, feeling the intense feelings of others. Full moons illuminate the shadows, and it illuminates the soul. And like I just stated, it allows you to express your true authentic self. Now, if you see me looking down, I am reading through my notes, making sure that I hit all the points that I want you to hear. Because there's a lot of things that are happening in our world right now, and not just here in the United States, globally. And it can very much be explained through what's going on. A lot of people don't believe in astrology. That's fine. Astrology is neither good nor bad. It is what it is. It's just, it offers an energy, and this is what the result of the energy is. So this past full moon touched on our personal power as well. And it's what gives you power. as well as what took your power. Here, you could be especially faced with that took your power away from you, little by little. Okay? With Saturn and Pluto's dance in Capricorn, that the energy is definitely calling for a big, big shift. This heavy energy is helping us find our personal power, believe it or not. Change is hard for a lot of people, but changes are only constant. And that's what Scorpio brings, a transition. It's helping us, like I said, find ourselves, but as well as it's one of self-awareness. It's one of understanding yourself, and it's a deeper knowledge of self. The sun, the sun is the center, right? Now, this energy is one of becoming more empowered. As the moon is opposite the sun, this is this conversation they're having at this time. And it helps us get to the core of things. And it'll take time to do it. And this is not going to be an overnight thing. This energy is about getting to the root core of the issues. And, whenever I think about Pluto, and the moon just went through just had a meeting with Pluto, I think of the goddess's descent to the underworld. I think about goddess Inanna descending into the underworld, and at every gate she lost the outer. If you haven't read that story, you need to read that story. It's very interesting. It can explain the Lord of the Underworld just a little bit better. And, maybe if you don't appreciate Pluto, maybe reading the stories and going into the myths can help you gain that appreciation, because it is very definitely needed, especially in this day and age when we all just live in the surface world. We really live in a technical world. Many of us, like right now, we're on YouTube. We are showing you a piece of our life, but there are other platforms that allow you to have a different life. So reading that can help you. Reading the goddess Inanna's descent into the underworld can really help you gain an appreciation for this. Because as she traveled through, she lost these external pieces, but she gained a better understanding of what truly matters, what real security and stability is about. The thing about Scorpio is yes, is transition, but it's alchemical. It doesn't just change things just to say, oh, well, I'm bored, let's just do it. It changes for the sake of, not for the sake of change itself, but for the betterment. It changes for the highest good. It changes to make it better. And in the past shows, I've talked about Saturn and Pluto, the South Node, not Nord, but South Node, them meeting, and how this can bring up past lives and stuff from your past. This can be stuff from your childhood as well. Wounds that happened, wounds that occurred with you during your childhood, that could bring those up. And it also touches on our ancestors. With Pluto and Capricorn, it's tearing down the old ways of authority, laws, and rules. But it is destroying in order to recreate. And with the intensity of feelings and emotions, it can make us focus more on the spiritual side of ourselves. But we must be able to rationalize as well. Now, there is a lot of teachings out there that tell us to focus upon our spiritual side. That to focus on leaving the body behind and being into that spiritual, divine, loving place. And trust me, that is very much needed. It is very much needed. There is a time and place for that. But we also have to remember something very, very important. That we are spiritual beings having a human experience, not the other way around. We are in the physical world. And yes, we do work within the spiritual. But we have to also remember our physical. We do have a physical body still. So make sure that you're bringing that down. You cannot forget the physical. Like I said, the spiritual, focusing on that, it does have its place. Do not get me wrong there. It does. But we also have to understand that we are human beings. So, in that human beings and having these placements that connect us to our past, connect us to our past lives, it can also connect us to our ancestors. Now, there are a lot of things that we can learn from our ancestors. And as a mother, I can tell you that I always want my daughter and my two sons to learn, all of my children to learn from my mistakes, really. I want all of my children to do better than I have done. But truth be known, they are having their own experience as well. And maybe they need to go through that in order to learn. That's why a lot of us have these hard lessons we learn, because those are our most valuable, right? Now, the first place that we can learn about our past and about our ancestors is to learn from the philosophy, okay, or how things work. I know I hear a lot of people talk about, oh, they did that in their past life, and now, it's just awakening in this life. You might have done a lot of things in your past life, but you haven't done them in this life. And you may remember that. You may remember doing those things. But there is room for guidance there. To think that you know all is operating in the ego in the negative way. Because everyone, every time we learn something, the more and more we learn, the more we realize we don't know nothing at all. I'm sure you've all heard that. It's amazing because we don't know everything. We don't. So we have to learn from our ancestors that have went before us. Our ancestors are not just our blood family. They can also be those that have paved the way before us. Say you're a Reiki master. Those that have went before you with that. Say you're a witch. The lessons that have went on from that. Pagans. AstroTarot, the Norse. Whatever. Whatever. Even a carpenter. Those that do a specific skill. You have to learn the core of it, correct? You have to learn how things work. When we understand how things work, it enables us to work more freely. And we must respect this process. And to respect those ancestors and those peoples that have went before us, that have paved that way. It is very important for us to have gratitude for our ancestors. Especially, those that are in pagan paths. Our pagan ancestors paid for their path with their blood. So they've paid for it in prison time. They've paved our way in many, many ways. So this is that energy is connecting us to our ancestors. It's connecting us to our core. To our core. And when we connect to our ancestors, when we connect to that, we are understanding how things work, understanding the philosophy, understanding the history. We make a foundation, a secure, stable foundation. Now, moving on from that, I can go on about that. I can. So, moving from that, Mercury, our planet of communication, is trailing behind the Sun in Gemini. Now, this is Mercury's home placement. This reminds us of the spoken word. Mercury is about our communications. Now, what I find interesting here is that Plotinus states that the word is the root to manifestation. The spoken word has great, great power. To speak it is to create it, to manifest it. And many feel that when you do speak it, that it is already manifest. So, it is like a transformation of source. You're taking the thought and you're verbally expressing it. So, Gemini it represents the element air, and it likes to vocalize. It allows us to verbally express what we are feeling and thinking. It allows us to release these pent-up emotions within us, but in a healthy way. And all this energy is gathering up to prepare us for a new moon that we'll be having on June the 3rd, and it'll be in the sign of Gemini. That new moon will be at 3:01 a.m. Pacific time, 6:01 a.m. Eastern, and 11:01 a.m. UK time. Now, the new moon represents a new moon cycle, and this is the time that we sow our seeds, we plant our seeds. As we vocalize, we are freed from all that we have been keeping within us. As we vocalize and we keep creating, we're freed. We keep creating. This energy is going to be intense as well, but it's going to be a lighter energy. It's going to be a very light type energy. The more we get to this moon, it's going to be lighter. We move from Scorpio, the hidden, to Gemini, where we are freed. So moving from the emotional waters to verbally expressing yourself, we are transformed. Remember, putting it into words is taking action to manifest it, whatever it is for you. This is why learning from our ancestors is very important. They can teach us how these things work. This is why we suffer through karma. We just don't learn, right? It can be very egoic, but we have to realize that we just can't keep continuing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Now, the energy, everybody today has been telling me that the energy is lightening up. They are feeling better. And as the sun moves further and further into Gemini, it will help the energy get lighter and lighter. So you can really expect some synchronicities at this time, especially now since the moon is traveling today. The moon is in the sign of Aquarius. And like I said, by the time we get to the 3rd, the moon will have made its way to Scorpio. So during this time, it's some really, really good energy. Some really, really good energy. Now, back on the 21st, the Sun and Mercury had a conjunction at 0 degrees Gemini. And the Sun was communicating to Mercury all that he has been experiencing, all that he's went through. And Mercury wants to verbally communicate that to us. It helps transform things. When you speak it, it helps transform. Okay? Create. And when Mercury begins to translate this energy into words and it speaks it aloud, it is done. So this is helping us here. This is really, really helping us with good energy. It's helping us clarity within our talk, helping us verbally express our feelings and our emotions, what we think, our ideas. Mars, our god of war, is harmonizing with Uranus, the awakener in Taurus. Now this is an interesting conversation here. They are helping us move deeper in connection with ourselves. So there's another one. There is another conversation of helping us move to our core. Mars is in Cancer, and this is not a comfortable place for him. This is a lot of feeling energy. It is receptive, whereas Mars is reactive. He's action. To me, Mars is masculinity at its finest, and Cancer is femininity as its finest. So it's wonderful, wonderful energy there, right? Yeah. So Cancer is mother energy. It's emotion, and it's our sense of nurturing and self-nurturing. This is why I'm saying this is good energy here. It is, even though it's a little... this is some good energy here, because Cancer is our mother. And it is also about the body. Mars himself is about the self as well. I am. That's his words. Mars is I am. Now, Uranus is quite different energy. Okay, Uranus is an awakener. He is that electric shock, that surprise, that looky here. But he's also about enlightenment and freedom of the body. In today's world, you can see that split. You can see many things, like I just spoke about being lost in the spiritual. Okay? This placement is teaching us integration. Uranus frees the body. And when he's in Taurus, Taurus energy is of the body. So, today's world, we can see how social media sites have pulled people out of their physicalness. And it's a clear evidence. There's people being catfished. There's people creating completely different identities. There's games that have you create a completely different life. But it's not about physically experiencing life. Cancer is nurturing, but she's also about tradition. So we have these different energies coming together. Both Mars and Uranus are in feminine signs. Mars is of the self. Uranus combines the all. Uranus wants equality for all. He understands the interconnectedness we have. So we're having to find that healthy balance of protecting the self as well as understanding our equality for all. Now it's human nature to want freedom. Freedom to choose what we want, what we don't want, to start our own business if we want to, or to work for another, to go a different route. We love having that choice. And here we are to raise our internal energy to integrate this. We are having to find a way to balance the self with the all. What protects you, but is also protecting others? It is a balancing of the mind and body as well. And you know, I don't know about you, but once I've had a taste of freedom, I don't want to go back. You see, we can't focus too much one way or too much the other way. We have to find the center. True, we may never find that true balance that we are searching for, but we find harmony. It's that harmonizing energy. That's what we're looking for. And this will allow you to be able to use all of your abilities, to be able to integrate all parts of yourself so you're able to use it for the highest good, to use it for the wonderful purposes, to go forth and create, to manifest. So this is quite a different energy we're coming into out of Scorpio. But see, Scorpio gave us that transition. He gave us that moment of change so we can make this happen. We are always given different ways to make all of these things happen. We just have to be willing to do it. It's not something that we can just, it'll be taken care of. Normally, no. It won't just be taken care of. You have to physically put forth your action in order to do it. Just remember, you're a spiritual being having a human experience. This is a time where these transitions that we're having can really get us in touch with our personal power. Yes, it can be heavy energy, but this is some stuff that you need to go through, that you need to face, and you need to release. It is appealing. Remember, when the goddess goes through the underworld, she has to go through each gate, releasing that's really not of, it's of material value, but not of real value. So I do have a different goddess that is speaking to us from our heavens, and that will be in another video entitled Aaron Rod's Messages. So I'm going to close this, and this is all the astrology for now. I urge you to tune in next Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time so we can talk about the new moon in Gemini and what beautiful, beautiful energy that has to offer us. So we are still having some wonderful, wonderful harmonizing energy between Venus and Mars as well. So please don't forget that. Also, if you want to go and listen to the full recording of this, the Astro Tarot show, go on over to the cauldron.net, look over, scroll down to the right, and you'll see the past shows, a little box you can click to take you to those archives. It is $1.99, that's US dollars, and it is worth it. Go out there, support your pagan artist. That is one thing that's not really done in our pagan world, is we don't understand that in order to have these wonderful things, that we have to, in some sort, support them in some way, right? So have a lovely day. This is Memorial Day weekend for the United States. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, and stay safe. It is very, very hot here in the Low Country. I know today we are in the hundreds, or 100s. You'll have to forgive my southern accent sometimes. But stay hydrated and take very good care of yourself. Please don't forget to check in later for the Aaron Rod message, as well as the tarot reading that I did last week. It will be shorter than this one, and it will be nice and brief and to the point. Y'all have a great weekend, and I'll see you all next time. Same witch place, same witch time. Merry part until we merry meet again.